All right, we are now live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another power packed, another exciting webinar with me, Mo, founder here at SkillHat. We have a lot of people in the room. I see Abdul Rashid, Faith, Sumare. Today, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity's hidden entry points, how career changers are securing six-figure roles that pay $100,000 and up here in the US and Canada in the most secure spaces: cybersecurity, project management, AI. So you're going to learn about how to land a high-paying cybersecurity position with no tech background or a high-paying project management position with no tech background. We're going to learn about security certifications, the titles, the niches that really matter, and the exact roadmap to build a successful career in tech in the toughest job market that we've seen in a very long time. And so for everyone in the room right now, let me know in the chat if you can see me, if you can hear me, by confirming your location. Where are you tuned in from? I'm in Toronto, Canada right now, specifically a smaller suburb called Hamilton, specifically Ancaster. So if you can see me, you can hear me, let me know what your location is. Okay, I see my man, Toronto. I see Boston. I see a lot of different cities in the room. That's fantastic. Let's see who else we have in the room. Oh, by the way, I do have to go live on Instagram. I forgot about that. So let's do that. We're going to go live on Instagram. Okay. And then we're going to go live on Moballer's Instagram. So there we go. I forgot about that. We're streaming with StreamYard. We're streaming to Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all at the same time. So for those of us who are watching on Instagram, welcome to today's stream. We're learning about the hidden entry points into the top tech roles right now in cybersecurity and project management. We're going to focus on those two roles today with a very strong focus on cybersecurity. So if you can see me and hear me, put your location in the chat. I see lots of locations: Montreal, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver. Shout out to Melina, Faith, Ash from London, Dave, a lot of folks across Canada and the US. Fantastic. Now, if you are also tuned in, tell me, what role are you in right now? What do you do right now for a living? What do you do right now for a living? Right now, I'm the founder at SkillHat. You will hear about me today. I have a background in IT project management. At 25, I became a VP in a $100 million company. At 29, I became a VP in a $100 billion company. So I have an extensive tech background in project management and executive leadership. But I'm asking you, what is your background? What is your current role right now? Okay. Now, as you guys share that, I'm going to test my screen share. Let's test that we can see my screen. So we're going to go for this tab, right? If we can see my screen, maybe give me a thumbs up. Let me know. I'm seeing a bunch of different roles in the chat: business data analyst, cybersecurity analyst. Okay, I see Yewande is just joining the background. I can see you. If you can see me in the background, Yewande, you can give me a thumbs up. Okay, what is your current role right now for those in the room? Let me know. And so let's jump right into the material today. Okay, so at SkillHat, we're a training and staffing company. We're based in Toronto, Canada, and Houston, Texas. We train people in tech skills and help you land amazing roles at the best companies in the world. We support career transitions here at SkillHat. With us, you can pivot, transition, and grow with a mentor right by your side. You belong here if you want to transition into technology, strategy, or management, or if you're a newcomer to the US and Canada, or if you want to get certified or promoted, or you're a new grad. Once again, if you can see my screen, give me a confirmation. Let me know in the chat that you can see my screen. I'm just going to do a test. Yeah, we should be good. Y'all should be able to see my screen. Let's keep it going. And so if you're watching this, if you're here right now, you might be feeling stuck. You might be in a job that doesn't excite you as much anymore. And maybe you want to transition into a higher paying role, into a six-figure career, paying six figures, 100K or more. And you want to get it done in a way that's not painful, that's fun, and does not disrupt your existing schedule. Maybe you have kids, you have an existing full-time job. You want to make that transition. If that's you, type me in the chat. If that's you feel stuck, you want to increase your income, you want to get it done in a way that's fun, not painful, and get it done quick, type me in the chat. Okay, I see Shagun Ajala says me. Shout out to you, Shagun. We're going to make that happen. Ash, I see you. Melina, let's make it happen for y'all today. Now, maybe you're already in tech and you're seeing that things are changing really, really fast with cybersecurity and AI. And you don't want to just fall behind this change. In fact, you want to lead this change. If that's you, you want to be a leader in the AI space and security, type lead in the chat if that's you. Okay, type lead in the chat or type leader in the chat if that's you. Maybe you're on the journey. You've already started, maybe because a lot of people on the call right now are actually my students. They're actually Skill Hat students. And they're saying, oh, man, is it possible? I've been going to a lot of interviews. I'm not cracking. Is it really possible? Right? The answer is yes and no, depending on what you believe. If you believe that you're going to land the position you want or start the business that you're supposed to, then yes. If you start to have self-doubt and you let that creep in too much, you're going to get stuck. And so the answer is it's based on what you believe. If you believe it's possible, let's make it happen. Now, I can tell you it is possible because even this week alone, we saw our alumni, Richard, land a position last week as an operations manager. You're going to see a lot of success stories coming up in the slides of people who are still landing incredible positions today. And you're going to learn from the panelists today who are going to come in. Because let me ask you a question. If you wake up every morning dreading the thought of getting into work, that's not what we want. Feeling stuck in a job that gives you no fulfillment and no growth potential, right? I hear this a lot from accountants, customer service reps. They tell me, hey, Mo, my work is boring. I want to make more money. I want to increase my income, but I'm working long hours already. How can I make my time worth more? We're going to talk about that today because before I found my true calling in tech, in project management, in leading security projects, I was working dead-end jobs. I was literally doing door-to-door sales, knocking doors and selling lawn renovation services. I was selling gym memberships, but I found tech and it helped me land six-figure positions in different roles, work from anywhere in the world, from the beach, from home. I have my own home office now, started a tech company after working in tech startups for a while with incredible founders. And that is the kind of transformative change I want to share with you today on how to achieve. Because no one should have to sacrifice their dreams, their well-being, or their financial security. You deserve it all. You can have it all. So it's time to stop settling and start thriving. The world is in a messed up place right now. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. We're seeing the tariffs from Donald Trump. We're seeing trade wars, U.S. and China. And there's lots of uncertainty happening, even with companies right now. They're holding back. We're seeing layoffs happen across the world right now, right? However, Warren Buffett, one of the top investors in the world, he says, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And what that means is when everyone's scared of what the hell is going to happen, what's the next stage of the world because of AI and all the layoffs, that's when you want to double down. People who are hesitant to jump in and invest in themselves, that's exactly when you want to capitalize on all the change happening. We launched our business in the middle of COVID, right? And why should you listen to Warren Buffett? Because, last year, Buffett was the only billionaire who made money last year. Listen, the world is in a tough place. If things aren't going exactly as you want them to in your life, even the smartest guys in the world, Elon Musk, he lost $130 billion last year. Jeff Bezos lost $45 billion. Mark Zuckerberg lost $28 billion. Listen, I say to myself, if these gods, right, if the best of men are having a tough year, who am I not to have a tough year, right? Who am I to think that I'm special? Listen, we're all getting punched in the face right now. However, Warren Buffett somehow is still minting cash because he continues to invest in himself and says, when others are fearful, be greedy and double down. When others are greedy, be fearful. And so what's my advice today? My advice is to invest and double down in two spaces right now for your career, in cybersecurity and in artificial intelligence, because those are the two sure bets. And once you have those skills, you will always be in demand. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the big careers or the big career opportunities in cybersecurity and in project management. So how do you lead security projects as an analyst, as an engineer, or as a project manager? How do you lead as a project manager in general? We're going to deep dive into today's job market, hearing from some advanced specialists who lead top tech companies like Meta and the city of Toronto IT. We're going to learn about certifications and skills that matter today and how to make that transition from any background into a high-paying, high-in-demand, future-proof cybersecurity or project management career. This is for you today if you are looking to pivot into tech and break into security or project management, or maybe you're already in and you want to land your next big opportunity at a fan company. How do you get a job at Facebook, at Apple, at Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, or Google? And it sounds like you're in the right place. Now, we did a survey, okay? We took a poll. There's a WhatsApp group right now. It's popping right now. A lot of people who are in this room are in the same WhatsApp channel. And we asked, what is your biggest challenge breaking into cybersecurity? Lots of folks says, I don't have a tech background. Some say, I know what roles I qualify for, or pardon me, I don't know what roles I qualify for. Some are just overwhelmed with all certifications. We're going to talk about that today. And by the way, yes, the session is recorded. I got you, it's recorded. And people are saying they're applying, but they're not getting interviews. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks today to get more interviews and convert better in interviews, okay? And so a bit more about me. I started my career with failure, like I always say. I didn't do too well in school in my first year. I almost dropped out because I was in economics and accounting. But I figured out that I loved technology and I switched to tech. From then, I did so well in school and I graduated in flying colors after almost failing in my first year to thriving in second, third, fourth year. And in a very short time from school, after graduating at 21, I became a VP of a $100 million company at 26 years old. This is me on stage. This is a massive conference, 10,000 people. I'm there talking about our business and about tech opportunities in Nigeria. I then came back to Canada and I became a VP in a $100 billion company at 29 years old. So I knew how to play the corporate game really, really well and lead teams and get stuff done. But a lot of people who are my friends were broke. I was 29, remember. A lot of my 29-year-old colleagues were like not making any money. They were working Uber. And so I started training my friends in project management, in business analysis, and they started getting jobs. And from then, there was so much demand for these great programs that I had built with my team that I quit my job and launched SkillHat with these folks on screen. At SkillHat, we train people in tech skills and put them in tech jobs. Our alumni are doing some crazy numbers. We've seen people go from making $30K a year to making $30K a month. Any company you want to work at, TD, Amazon, Loblaw, Spotify, Deloitte Consulting, Bell, we have alumni there, or we know somebody who's a hiring manager there. We have an extensive network. Here's a great success story. I want to share some success stories that are happening even right now. Shade just got another contract recently on May 10th. She's still getting new contracts even as we speak, right? This is the lady who was in our first ever cohort in 2021. She was a customer service rep when I met her. She transitioned to becoming an IT BA using our principles and our training. She took our SkillHat BA course, our project management course. Now she bought a Mercedes-Benz. She bought her first property in Lakeshore. There's a testimonial from her. Let's see if you can watch this one really, really quick. We're going to play this one real quick. It's like 20 seconds. And why I'm showing you these, I want you guys to believe and see that if they can do it, you can do it too.
$30,000 a year to now making over $30,000 a month.
So yes, that figure is accurate. Maybe a little bit more. I'm where I am today because of the program. Right after we finished the program with SkillHat, they helped me with like my resume prep, job prep. I just be like, okay, well, I'm going to the market, right? I got a lot of interviews and eventually I got an offer a month after the program. I got an offer, came to tech. Like, remember, I have no tech experience. I don't.
Yeah.
This is her talking about her experience and her story. I hope y'all can hear the audio. People were asking what company was I working at. When I was a VP at a $100 million company, the company was called Venture Garden Group in Nigeria. In Canada, when I was a VP in a $100 billion company, the company was called Marsh McLennan, a top insurance brokerage. Okay, here's another story. This is Ubong, who was trained by our instructor, Eddie. So she was a lawyer. You can't see her background, but she was a lawyer. She transitioned into cybersecurity now through our program, through our instructors. And she's now a data protection officer. Everyone knows lawyers are not tech savvy. If she can do it, you can do it too. Another story. Aziza took our Skill Hat BA course. We trained her as a BA, and then she got coaching from our product management coaches one-on-one, and she became a product manager, transitioning from a finance background into cybersecurity product management at Easton Tire, right? I see a comment in the chat. Should they read who I just showed before was how one of you found out about Skill Hat. Shout out to Amishina. Thanks for sharing that comment. More success stories. This one, I got to play this one for you, please. This one takes 30 seconds, but this is the guy who came into our program as a plumber. Curtis. Now he's a six-figure project manager with Hertz Canada. A lot of you know Hertz, or Hertz US. He's in the US. He's now doing massive IT and also massive airport projects for Hertz car rental. Check this out. You got to watch this one, okay? Let's watch Curtis's story. Another example is a guy called Curtis. He was actually a plumber, but he wanted to become a project manager. So he took our program, and here's his amazing testimonial.
The last thing that Mo mentioned in the last class, it was a career coaching class. You said, apply for something your expertise. What was I good at? Where am I a domain expert in? That's why I wanted to start. I wanted to land a full-time PM role. I utilized the tools you provided in the Google Drive. Simple as that. After we completed the course, I went through every document, everything you provided to us. Throughout our journey, I utilized the template, and I mimicked that template for my resume. I feel really good where I'm in life right now. I'm in a good headspace. As I mentioned earlier, I have a work-life balance. I'm able to put my kids on the school bus in the morning. I'm able to go walking at the park with my wife before I start work in the morning. I don't sit in traffic anymore. I literally have a home office now.
If you're saying to your incredible. So I hope y'all caught that story. And it's not all about the money and about the shiny salary and the big office. That's nice. But it's all about the little things to me. You know what he said? He said, I don't have to sit in traffic anymore. I have a few extra hours in the morning to put my kids on the school bus. You know, I have a home office now. He's now living his best life he ever dreamed of. And that's the transformation that we help you guys achieve here at Skill Hat. And so we're going to get right into today's webinar. I'm just going to check in with my panelists. Yewande, we cannot hear you. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. If you can hear me or see me. Let's see. Okay, she's good. Join when you can. She's literally at work, and she's saying she's gonna join in a bit. So we're good. We're good. We're gonna start with my man Abhinav. Oh yeah, she's on. She's on. Can you? Let's just check. You give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. The audience can't see you yet, but okay, perfect. All right. So before we bring on our panelists, I'm just gonna advise you guys a few things. Okay. Before we jump on, here's my advice to you today. Number one, we have three kinds of people in the room. Okay. No, we're just starting. For those who are just joining, again, welcome to the webinar. We're today talking about cybersecurity's hidden opportunities. And today's webinar is focused on how to tap into landing a role in cybersecurity and in project management. We have panelists from Meta and the government today. And so there's three kinds of people here today. Some will listen and do nothing. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe this isn't for you. Totally fine. Some will listen and take action and achieve all the goals on their own. Listen, everything we're sharing here is for free. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to provide free, incredible advice for you to take and run with. Some will achieve the goals on their own. Incredible. Now, some will want to get it done faster, make less mistakes, work with experts, and achieve their goals quickly with the right coaching and the right community. Because a lot of us know when you have the right coaches, the right community, you make less mistakes and you have a higher chance of success. If you're in the third category, I'd love to help you and work with you. And my final piece of advice is remove all distraction. Okay. If you're here, turn off the TV, just lock in for only about 30, 40 minutes today. Because what you're going to learn will help you a lot in how you answer interview questions and how you think about your career. 2, start applying whatever you learn within 24 hours. There's a law called the law of diminishing intent, which means the longer you wait to take action after hearing something that's informative, the less likely you will achieve that thing. And there's another thing that says learning is the rate of change of behavior. Learning is how quickly you change your behavior. So if you hear a lot of stuff today and you don't change your behavior, you'll learn nothing. So think about, how am I going to change my behavior right after this? And then lastly, take detailed notes and stay till the end, because I'm going to give you a bonus at the end. Rob, who was a leader at Shopify, says in 2025, if you're still putting proficient in Microsoft Word on your resume, you're cooked. It's like saying I have a pulse. Upgrade your skills or watch the world move on without you. And so we're going to jump in. Let's jump in to talk to the panelists. I'm going to bring on Yewande Marcus to the stage. Yewande, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. You're at work still?
I am still at work, but it's fine.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming today. It's a pleasure having you. I'm going to start with a story, right? Before I go into the story, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, and I'll tell the group the story. So tell us about yourself. What do you do at work? Where do you work? And why is your work important to the company you work for?
Great question. Well, thank you for having me. It's always nice to be with the Skill Hub folks. So my name is Yewande Marcus. I work as a senior program manager in cybersecurity and ads integrity. I work specifically within the trust and safety space at Meta. Outside of work, I just completed a doctorate in information technology. So we'll go into the story, I'm sure we will, but I did successfully transition from a non-tech background to a tech background, and I love it here. In terms of my work, like I mentioned, it's within the trust and safety space. And really what we do is ensuring that users who are on our platforms are safe and protected from harm. And so that means, think of yourself, I think we all have networks. We all have accounts on any social network. We have LinkedIn accounts, we have Facebook, Instagram accounts. And my work is essentially responsible for making sure that you guys are able to come on the platform day in, day out and interact safely, while also protecting revenue for our company. So it's a mix of ensuring online security and safety while also balancing revenue for the company. Hopefully that's a good summary.
Sounds good. I'm going to share a quick story. So a lot of you found out about Skill Hat or about this event from Skill Hat ads or our social media. A while ago, our Instagram got taken down due to some third-party violations by an account that was run by somebody in our team, but wasn't due to a Skill Hat's account. And that affected Skill Hat's Instagram account. It got taken down. And for almost 3 months, we actually couldn't use our Instagram. And it was terrible for us because our Instagram is how we run ads that brings people into Skill Hat to hear about our incredible programs and change their lives. And so we're going through the formal channels, responding through these forms, and nothing was happening. And I was very, very frustrated. So I reached out to Yewande and I told her what was going on. Lucky for us at Skill Hat, we already had a relationship with her. We had been talking about opportunities with her, things of that nature. And she just jumped in, and in like 3 days or less, she talked to all the different folks at the company, and we got our account restored. So I want to say, Yewande, thank you so much for helping us with that. That was brilliant. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to bring on another panelist to the stage. Abhinav, how you doing, my man? I think you're on mute.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Mo.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Abhinav is a friend of mine. We went to university together at University of Toronto. I'll tell another story about him as well. But Abhinav, before I tell your story, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Tell them, where do you work and why is your work important to the company?
Sure. I work for the City of Toronto. I lead the cyber defense unit of the Office of the CISO, a 4-year-old division within the city. And the mandate for this office is to really help mature cybersecurity practices and really the controls across divisions and agencies for the city. This spans out to all the divisions you can think of that are critical in nature, like the water, fire, paramedics, and agencies as well, the zoo, the exhibition place, police, etc. So we work closely in various formats across these divisions and agencies to make sure we're helping them build up on their defenses, and at the same time mature their governance and practice around it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So Abhinav started his career at Canadian Tire, right?
Yes.
I remember you don't know this. You don't know this, but actually, I've interviewed for your job.
Did you? Oh, we all worked in it was a next generation talent program, a leadership program.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So I interviewed for that program.
Yes.
So it was a rotational program where they throw you in different roles, right? For like 3 years.
Yeah.
Different sectors, and then you figure out where you're really, really good, and then you stay there, right?
Yeah.
And that was how you figured out you were good at security. Was that it?
Yeah, sort of. First off, I think that was a pure miss on their part to not bring you on board. I think you're a great leader that they could have as an asset. The program was designed to walk you through a corporate life of managing technology specifically, and I had the opportunity to really work closely with the security team, and after a few really good conversations, I was able to join the cybersecurity team within Canadian Tire. That kicked off my cybersecurity career. Yes.
Awesome. So let's go to Yewande real quick. Tell us about a day in the life as a senior program manager in security and ads integrity at Meta. What do you do? Walk us through like a typical day that encompasses different phases of your work.
Yeah, so my role is it's a mix of technical program management, operations, and policy. So I like to think of my stakeholders in 3 groups. So I have my engineering technical stakeholders, and those are the folks I interact with the most. And then I have my third-party contractors. So within the content moderation space, there are people who day in, day out are reviewing content or reviewing labels from the content that's produced from the platforms. And so I manage that team as well. And then the third group would be my operations partners. So like folks on my team or folks who are interested in like operational efficiency, optimal capacity, governance, and stuff like that. So those are the 3 buckets of stakeholders I interact with now. And any typical day, it depends. But I like to start off my day with deep dives. So like I like to allocate at least 2 to 3 hours for focused work. So that could be I'm either working on like a strategy doc or focus execution or something that's already in progress, like tracking that and working on an analysis or working on a query. And then sometimes my afternoons are meetings. Sometimes my afternoons are lightweight tasks like tracking, like updating my tracker as coming up with my reports. Some mornings I start off with my stakeholder meetings depending on the stakeholder group. So my Tuesdays, for instance, are when I meet with more of my technical partners. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Thursdays are when I meet with more of like my vendors. So some mornings I start off with deep dives and focus work. Some mornings I start off with meetings. And then at any point in time in my day, I like to have hours for work, for focus work, hours for meetings, and then hours for lightweight tasks. Now, there's some days when I have to deal with an escalation on something similar to what you guys faced with SkillHub with losing your account, but like on a higher magnitude. So like an important person or important personality. And so I have to drop everything and then look into that account. And on those days, my calendar goes out the window. But I would say it's a mix of meetings as well as strategy thinking, as well as tracking, coming up with reports, sharing reports, having chats back and forth.
Got you. So you play at the intersection of cybersecurity and program management. This is a broad question, but for people who are interested in both, they want to get into security or some in program management or some in both, like GRC analysts. What are the core skills on each side? The core skills you utilize to help you deal with security threats and manage security initiatives and ads integrity? And what are the skills on the program management side? And then how does having skills on both sides help you become a better professional for your company?
So I would start off by saying that cybersecurity is broad. And when I say it's broad, it means like I work within trust and safety. And that's one subset of cybersecurity. But within cybersecurity, there's application security, there's pen testing, there's incident response, business continuity. So having an understanding of like one or all areas, I think would be helpful. In my area, in my role, I've been able to develop an understanding of cybersecurity across the board. So I want to say I'm more focused within trust and safety, but I have a good knowledge of the other areas of cybersecurity. If you wanted to focus on one specific area, then I would say in terms of skill sets, having skill sets that are aligned with that area. So for instance, application security, like what does it mean to be an AppSec engineer? Having skill sets aligned to that would be the first element. So knowledge or subject matter expertise within your area. And you could be generic, which is across the cybersecurity spectrum, or more targeted within one specific area. Now, from a project management standpoint, there are some key project management skills I think will be helpful to have. Definitely, you have to be great at organization. So you can't be an effective project manager without having good organizational skills, and that's because you're most likely going to be organizing a lot of people. So you have to enjoy that work for you to be able to be good at it. You also have to be able to understand risk management, because a part of your work is to be able to like identify risks before they happen, flag them, and come up with mitigation. So risk management, then communication is a very, very big part of your job. So reading communication, oral communication, understanding who your stakeholders are, and be able to communicate with them effectively. And that's because every stakeholder has something that they care about. So when I work with engineers, they care about a different set of goals versus when I work with policy versus when I work with sales. So understanding your stakeholders, understanding their goals, being able to think from their perspective and be able to communicate effectively in a way where you can speak their language pretty much, because you are kind of like a middleman across the board. So communication skills, I would say, are also like a very, very good one. So if I were to summarize in terms of skills, you can never go wrong with having subject matter expertise. Technical skills, I'm sure you guys cover this in your project management classes, but the variety of project management tools out there. There's Jira, there are agile frameworks. Being able to understand the tools and the frameworks for being an effective project manager, I think would help you. And then also on the cybersecurity side, depending on the area that you operate in, understanding the skills within that area, or having some knowledge of frameworks, because some elements of cybersecurity require more frameworks than technical skills. So understanding the frameworks, the skills, I think a combination of that blend would help you be effective as a cybersecurity program manager.
Awesome. And what does having both the PM skills and security skills, what does that do to make you more valuable as a professional?
I go back to the subject matter expertise. It gives me, having domain knowledge sets me apart from like a regular program manager. And I say that because I started off as being more generic. I didn't really have that specific knowledge. And so I could kind of fit in any area, which is great. But if I want to grow and increase my salary or like grow in a particular field, then having that domain expertise, I think, would be helpful. And so I ultimately chose to focus within cybersecurity, but you could do cloud if you want to stay on the program management side or project. If you don't want to go too technical, then having that domain expertise, I think, helps. And for me, that's what I would say sets me apart from just any project manager. Now, as I grow within cybersecurity, it's not enough to just stay on the project management side. I think it helps to build technical understanding. I did mention that I interface very closely with my technical partners. So being able to understand what are they actually doing? And that helps unblock you in a lot of ways. So it takes you from being just like someone who's just tracking updates and sharing updates to people, to being able to like be a valuable thought partner where you can ask, like, share perspectives, ask about what they do. So that means understanding the technical elements of what they do. You don't necessarily have to know how to code, but like if they're building code, like what are they doing? In my team, we work on a mix of we do trust and safety, and so that means we're creating the systems that determine how we enforce at scale, so enforce content at scale, or detect like specific violations at scale. So we work on malware detection, but we also work on more content violations like human exploitation or scams. That requires understanding how those systems work, and we use ML models. So how do the ML models work? For me to be able to do my job effectively, I need to know how the technical elements come together, and so I can ask more tactical questions. So as you start off with with an understanding of the space, which is like understanding what cybersecurity is, your specific area within cybersecurity, then it helps to upskill in the technical parts of the role, if that makes sense. So that way you can communicate more effectively. And I say technical because not everyone has to be technical. Not everyone is going to be technical, but it sets you apart from someone who can't speak that technical language or who doesn't have that technical fluency, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So here's the summary of what we heard. Being a project manager is a fantastic high in demand role, in demand skill, but being able to increase your, so for you to increase your salary and demand and your efficiency in the job, being a domain expert in one area is very helpful. You chose to become a domain expert in security. There's others who are considering other areas like cloud, CRM, different tools, different domains in technology, and that was your decision to stay in security. I'm going to come back to ask you why shortly. Let's go to Abhinav shortly. So Abhinav, you work as a manager of cyber defense at City of Toronto. What does that even mean? Walk us through a day in the life. What are you actually doing, and how are you helping your company achieve their goals?
Sure. It's a bit more of an operational role as opposed to what we've heard. Like, I think I work closely with folks like Awandi, yourself, and other project coordinators and program managers who help enable visibility and control. So help technically support those folks to actually drive the conversation with whatever it requires to enable that visibility and the control. If you think about our day-to-day, typically, if it's a good day, it starts with my team where we triage the different sorts of detections and intelligence that we have gathered around threats and attacks targeting specifically the city or public administration, or globally speaking, different organizations, and figure out a way to whether we have guarded ourselves against it or figure out a way to pick it up and defend ourselves on a daily basis. That's a good day. A worst day looks like, a follow-up conversation from a midnight call on a Sunday because we were dealing with an attack and we're trying to close up the loose ends around the incidents that we've dealt with. Otherwise, it's really digging into different kinds of technology stakeholders, leaders across agencies and divisions to help them understand why they need what they need, and also support those technical folks that support those leaders in terms of implementing the controls. So typically, you're thinking about, operationally speaking, keeping up the lights, but you're also supporting program managers and project coordinators and implementing some of those controls and visibilities.
Sounds good. Let's talk about before. So you were at the Canadian Tire.
Yes.
You went to Deloitte Consulting, and then you went to the city. Could you walk us through, like, high level, what happened? What did you do? What did you do at this Canadian Tire? And then how did you parlay that into get into Deloitte? And then at Deloitte, you're client facing, right? You're dealing with client work.
Yes.
So let's talk about those two roles to start. Walk us through what you did and what you learned that you're in your first role in Canadian Tire, and how you moved into dealing with client work at Deloitte and what you did there.
Sure. So piggyback a bit off the comment that I wanted to suggest, that I think the idea is that there are different pillars within cybersecurity. I deem to believe I'm a threat intelligence subject matter expert. I've started my career there, and I've done a lot of work in that space with Canadian Tire as a threat intelligence subject matter expert. You're really helping understand what's happening across the globe in terms of different attacks, different factors that allow or motivate different types of attackers to perform the different types of attacks. And is it financial? Is it espionage motivated? Is it just hacktivists? Is it cyber criminal sorts of attacks? That's sort of where your threat intelligence life cycle exists, right? You figure out a way to gather intelligence requirements, collect intelligence, process them, and disseminate for different sorts of action across the organization. It could be as simple as putting in a detection or a prevention technical control in a place, or reviewing a full-out sales pipeline, right? Like, I think a lot of fraud that exists is because of loopholes that exist within the process of purchase, sales, returns, etc.
Okay.
So the ability to sort of dissect what's happening across these.
You're referring to like credit card theft. So at Canadian Tire, as
an example,
retail brand, when people are paying, some of them are scam payments. Being able to identify when it's a scam payment versus a legit payment, correct?
Yeah, loyalty program is another target. If you can think of, again, not specific to Canadian Tire, but if you can think of some of the big brands that have really strong loyalty programs, if you mash up their account points, you can go and purchase something off the store using those points, but they're not your points. You're then selling it on the street for
stealing points now. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, one of the exciting incidents I've dealt with was during the PS5 launch. there was a big shortage of the product in the market. So people would smash up points, purchase these PS5s, and then sell it at a markup on the street. Typically, you would see people sell it at a discount, and they still make money because they have zero cost of operations. But during that phase, you could see people buying it and then selling it at a 30, 40, 50% markup. So they're not just making money off of the marked price. They're actually making a lot more. That's just an example in the retail world, and you can resonate across industries, across different organizations. So started with Canadian Tire with threat intelligence that helped me get a role within Deloitte Cyber Intelligence Center. Cyber Intelligence Center is a typical MSSP offering that Deloitte offers to their clients. They do SOC monitoring. Based on that, they drive strategy conversation, help with a lot more strategic cybersecurity assessments that identify gaps and then fill up those gaps by either reselling services like anything from firewalls, proxies, EDRs, NDRs, and how do you sort of pull that back and automate the monitoring, etc. At Deloitte, I had a chance to work with some really smart leaders, one of which moved to the city and pulled me in to help build their cyber command center.
Got you. So break that down for us at Deloitte. I didn't understand what you actually said. So what were the actual problems that the clients were facing at a high level, and how did Deloitte come in to solve those problems?
Typically, any consulting firm, they first off, a standard conversation is, okay, let's come and assess your environment and help you identify the gaps and controls that's missing. Typical cybersecurity assessment, if you piggyback on some of the frameworks that already exist in our industry best practices, NIST frameworks, for example, allow you to really structure your interviews with your clients. And then you ask very pointed questions around technical controls, people, process, and technology that allows you to identify where the gaps are. And then that helps you build a bit of a roadmap for your security leaders and help them put those guardrails in place, right? So once you've drawn that roadmap, you might be missing practices around security monitoring or across the pillars, right? Something that you want as well mentioned. There are so many different pillars. Be it pen test, you're probably not pen testing, you're probably not patching well, you have vulnerability management to do better, you got to do SOC monitoring better, you got to do your governance better, and there's different pillars that you have to invest your money, people, resources into. Those are typical conversations, and sometimes people just get hacked and they pick up the phone and call folks like MSSPs like Deloitte's MSSP, and they come in, help you recover from it, activate the monitoring, and then again go back into those strategic discussions, right? So anyone like Deloitte or any other MSSP or any consulting firm that help in cybersecurity, they sort of walk you through all those pillars and identify those gaps in a very structured format using frameworks.
Got you. For those who don't know what an MSSP is, it's a managed service provider.
Yes, managed service MSPs also do technology. MSSP do specifically security service provider.
Gotcha. So MSSP means managed security service providers.
And MSP is, we could do security, but we'd also do technology. Some people just brand themselves to do it all.
Awesome. So just to ask you one more question. For those who are watching right now, for those who don't have a tech background, but they're curious about getting into cybersecurity, how do they think through what to learn and how to network and how to get certified? If you were starting all over from scratch, how would you think through it?
Is that for me or Yewande?
I'll stick with you and I'll go to Yewande after for the same question.
Yes, sure. I think if you're really starting in this space, you've got to keep up with the news. I mean, I'm going to give you a bit of a threat intelligence sort of a landscape or a view into this. Just learning about anything from geopolitical, economic circumstances, keeping up with, having that situational awareness helps. And then you get a little bit more into technicals where you learn about how attackers are attacking, what are their tactics, what are their techniques, keeping up with those technical landscape where, how are people phishing and web browsing, sure, but how are they actually coming into those organizations? And keeping up with these sorts of conversations can also help you. Like if you think about other sorts of news, regulations and policies that are changing around. If you think about operational technologies, ICS and SCADAs that help purify our water or maintain our fire dispatch systems or ambulances, for example, these are very sensitive environments that you've got to look at it in a different lens. But there are different regulations and policies that are changing. People are, countries and organizations are becoming a lot more aware. Keeping up with those news can help you resonate with people when you go out and network, when you meet people in the industry, have a conversation about why you're excited and what's driving you to get into the industry. And, you might have the technical aptitude, but not the experience. But if you're able to communicate that curiosity, that interest, that really helps you stand out. And then leaders in the industry will, whenever they have an opportunity, might pull you in or refer you to a friend who's looking for maybe an analyst or a junior role that will open up your doors to the career.
Sounds good. Thanks for sharing that. Same question for Yewande. If you were thinking, there's people in the room who some may not have a tech background, but they're interested in this field of cybersecurity. They're seeing that it's a space that is AI proof almost. In fact, as AI gets more in demand, security is more in demand to be able to keep up with artificial intelligence and the new threats that are emerging. So if we're in the room and we're non-technical, but are interested in cybersecurity or even in program management and project management, if you were starting from scratch, starting again today without the skills, how would you think through what to learn, how to network, and how to get certified?
Yeah, I think I would first of all start from understanding what the field of cybersecurity is. It's one of those fields that is pretty broad, and with recent terms. In recent times, it's become more of a buzzword. Same way AI is a buzzword. So it's very easy to say I want to do cybersecurity, but do you really understand what cybersecurity is about? And like Abhinav said, he is more on the threat intelligence side. That's one element of it, and that requires more of a technical skill set. So understanding, I would say, I would first of all take a step back to understand what the field is, what are the different pillars of cybersecurity, and what areas I'm interested in. I'll outline what I want for myself, and that's where I am in my career at the moment. Would I want a career transition, or am I seeking a career transition, or am I seeking a higher salary? What are my goals? And then finally, what's my skill sets? And then what kind of skills do I want to build? And then I can then pursue the areas that align with my motivations, my skills, and my interests. Then I would say that's the understanding piece. Now, the next thing would then be learning and networking. And I would say joining an organization that's related to cybersecurity is helpful. That's one of the things I did. I joined ISC, which is, I forget what it stands for, but I think it's the body that governs the CISSP certification. There's also Cybersecurity, which is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to promoting minorities within cybersecurity. And these organizations have learning opportunities. Within cybersecurity, for instance, I was paired with mentors. So I got to talk with people who are actively working in cybersecurity, who work in different fields of cybersecurity, who've been working there for years. And I got to learn from their experiences. I also got to connect with people who are also at a similar place trying to transition. So you're sharing notes, you're comparing notes, you're learning about from other people, you're gaining insights into what's going on, if there's a boot camp, if there's a training. You also in that instance, I also got a award to actually go take a scholarship. I got a scholarship to go take a certification course free of charge. So joining organizations exposes you to talking to people, mentoring opportunities, and just helps you just stay abreast of what's going on. And I'd say something that's very valuable will be when you talk to people who actually work in that field, it gives you a sense of expectations. What do you expect? Am I actually going to enjoy it? Or is this just an idealistic idea, something within my head? So talking to people helps you understand that. If you have people within your network, leverage those types of people. So that's what I would do. I think that was very helpful for me. And then at that point, I think once I'm able to have a good sense of what area I'd like to focus on, I've gotten a good pulse of what cybersecurity is, then I can then look into taking like classes or certifications. There are entry-level certifications. That's CompTIA's Tech Plus is a very good entry-level one. The ISCT also has a certified in cybersecurity, which is a free certification. So those give you a good understanding of cybersecurity at a high level. And then from there, you can then start focusing on the individual ones you'd like to specialize in. And then I like Abhinav's point about staying abreast with like the news. So one thing I did was also subscribe to business journals. I subscribe to certain channels on YouTube. So I follow Wall Street Journal, I follow Business Insider. And so as things are happening, whenever there's like a popular scam or phishing attack or something that impacts an organization, I usually would see it on Wall Street Journal. So that helps me know like what's the impact of these types of things that are happening within the cybersecurity space on organizations. It helps you form a perspective, and you can then speak intelligently about it. So I would say learning, first of all, understanding what cybersecurity is, what areas you're interested in, outlining your goals, aligning your goals with the areas that you'd like to go in, and then networking, joining organizations, talking to people, as many people as you can, to get a sense of what exactly cybersecurity is, or those fields that you're interested in, understand what those roles entail, understand how much like people get paid. That may also inform what direction you want to go in. And then in terms of like the actual, like forming an action plan, then I can then look into entry-level certifications as well.
Awesome. So I just put down some of the stuff that you said. Join the certification organizations and certification bodies. Talk to the members, right? Get certified. Understand the landscape, stay on top of the news, and then get the desired training, join a boot camp or whatever degree is required, and then you'll be in. We're gonna talk a little bit about the impact of AI, right? So you recently conducted a study on the adoption of AI for cybersecurity by small businesses. So, from your perspective, what do you see as the impact of AI on the cybersecurity industry?
Yeah, I can speak from two angles. I can speak more from a high level perspective in terms of like how AI can be used, applications of AI within cybersecurity. Then I'll speak more within the trust and safety space and some of the things that we're seeing. But within my study, so really what I was trying to assess was for small and medium business owners who, like, first of all, understand like what's the current adoption of cybersecurity for these businesses, and then if they were to adopt AI for cybersecurity, what would be the drivers of their intention to adopt AI? Without necessarily focusing on the results of the study, I think applications of AI within cybersecurity can do so many different things. It can help with automating like security tasks, incident response. From the incident response standpoint, AI can be helpful there. From malware phishing detection, it's also another like common application. Detecting like new threats, potential threats, not just like specific types of malware. That's another application for AI. It can be used for penetration testing. It can be used for predictive analytics. I think I'm speaking very, very high level. I don't want to go into too much technical details. And then the aspect that I think more people would connect with would be from a Gen AI standpoint. And I think organizations can then use AI for creating like their policies, trainings. I think we all use Gen AI in some form today. So using AI for like standing up cybersecurity programs or cybersecurity governance programs. I think that's like a more easily applicable use case of AI than some of like the more technical malware phishing detection, anomaly detection, automation of threat response and stuff like that. From the other standpoint, which would be more from like a trust and safety standpoint, which is something that we're starting to see more and more of, I think AI helps to create content at scale. So the primary objective when you think of AI is really you want to get to the point where machines or computers are performing with like human-like intelligence. And so what we're starting to see is AI is, at least from a phishing standpoint, we're seeing threat actors or bad actors who are using AI to create like you can create like thousands of fake passwords, like usernames and passwords that you can then use to compromise our accounts. And so the Skillhat account was probably one of those potential victims or possible victims of that type of threat attack. But we're seeing this happen at a scale that we probably have to like be faster to detect than we currently are today. But it's pretty much scaling that process of like being able to compromise accounts, being able to phish and send like some of these fake emails to like different people's, either to your Facebook account or to your Gmail account, but being able to automate that process of creating the usernames and accounts and creating the fake messages that we see either in our text messages or in our social network accounts or in our emails. Another one that we're starting to see is AI creating deep fake images.
Mhm.
A lot of AI generated types of apps that can create fake AI content. So you can use AI to create
Fake news, fake images, fake videos, and it looks like it's the real person speaking. I've seen
exactly.
those on the internet where they have a video of LeBron James after a game saying, "That was a terrible game. My coach is dumb," and it looks like it's LeBron James. You think it's him until you're like, he wouldn't say something like that, but you can't tell it's AI. How are you guys addressing that in Meta?
That's a good question. We are still trying to address it. I think one very key piece that's a key piece of solving all of this is making sure that we have the policies in place. In a lot of ways, we have the technical infrastructure in place, but we don't always have the policies that ensure that we are taking these down in a scaled manner. So if we have the enforcement infrastructure, and I can say, okay, like take this down today, like we need to have some policy backing or something that makes us compliant with regulatory requirements or with legal requirements in the governments that we operate in, and that's a portion that we are still working on. And then we also work with folks like Abhinav. We work with threat investigators who actually can go into these apps, who understand how these apps are being created, who understand like the technology and the TTPs that these threat actors are using, and can give us the signals to help us like feed like train data that we can then use to detect these and enforce these at scale. So having the policy is one. Understanding the signals, which is where we need people with the threat investigation background to help us understand the signals that these users are using today, and then using that to create guidelines that we can then use to create the training data that we need to train our ML models to take this on at scale. So those are some of the things that I would say that we're seeing, and it's still much of a challenge for us. I don't think we're fully on top of it yet, but we are actively working on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are doing a fantastic job because this is at scale. I mean, the users of Facebook are more than a whole country, more than multiple countries combined. So it's not an easy job.
It is not an easy job. I can say one of the thorny projects I'm working on right now is related to some of these apps that we're seeing. There are apps we call them nudify apps. So they advertise that you can undress folks, and you see those types of ads. I'm sure almost everyone has seen those types of ads. You can undress someone, and you can undress people within using a type of app, a photo editing app, and there actually have been people who have been caught by law enforcement who are actually using some of these apps to either create fake images or undress people with like a fake image of someone with a nude that's not theirs. And so we're trying to see
When the audience thinks it's a real nude, for
yes,
example.
the audience thinks it's a real nude, and there are people who are using this to exploit people. And so we're trying to work on drafting the signals that we can use to detect some of these apps at scale, detect some of these are also used for like human exploitation, there's child safety concerns, which are huge regulatory requirements, or regulatory compliance concerns for our company. Also, there's a chance that we may be earning bad revenue from these types of ads. So we need to act pretty quickly, otherwise maybe a lawsuit coming soon.
Yeah, it's a tough job. With great power comes great responsibility. I'd hate to be Zuckerberg. I've seen him at Congress sweating, getting asked all these tough questions. All I did was build an app for people to connect with their friends. Why am I in Congress answering these tough questions? So I get it. It's really tough. Let's switch a little bit to talk about getting into the role. A lot of people here this is very exciting work, by the way. As we can see and hear, the cybersecurity landscape is huge. It's only going to become more important as we become more reliant on technology with AI. If you want to get into a role, this is a place to get into. I'm learning about security right now myself, learning about AI. No one's an expert. We're all learning every single day, right? You only just finished your PhD recently. Are you done with the PhD now, or you're still going through it?
I am done, finally.
You're done? Yeah. When did you finish the PhD?
Early this month was my graduation. So
what? In May? You just finished?
I just finished.
Congratulations. I've known her for a while. Every time I talk to her, she's already a top PM at Meta, but every time I talk to her, she's always taking some new program, learning something new. I find that to be very amazing. Keep it up. So everyone in the room, like, this is the time to go back into learning. This is deep learning mode. I'm spending hours learning about AI every single day because this is where we need to be right now. Everything's changing so rapidly. And if you want a partner to learn with, SkillHat is a great place to learn security and AI skills. I'm going to talk about our programs shortly. Let's jump into the entry points for security career changers. Let's go to Abhinav quickly. So what are the underestimated entry points into cybersecurity that are hiring fast, especially for newcomers, career switchers in US and Canada?
So junior roles, I can think about the way you want to think about it is, where do you want to be? Initially, you could join in, within security operations or threat intelligence. Those are some good avenues to get into the operational side of things. On the flip side of a non-technical, but might need some technical understanding, is the policy and governance side of things, right? How do you draft out the right policies and standard and keep people to adhere to those policies and standards? So governance is a bit more non-technical otherwise, because you have the risk assessors and there's policy developers who build the policies. Governance is a lot more about making sure you're just having everyone adhere to those policies and standards. Those are some good entry-level roles to get into the space. That gives you a bit of an operational side of the pictures of what are the threats when it means in the technical terms, behaviors of your devices or behaviors of users across the environment within an organization, and what's normal versus what's abnormal, and being able to detect and prevent those things. And then on the policy side of things, it's a bit more literature-based. It's making sure you're interpreting the policies in the effective way to make sure you're putting the right controls in place to effectively block or disallow a certain type of activity, or help make sure that there is right training and awareness across the organization to not violate those policies, right? So those are some good entry-level sort of opportunities in cybersecurity.
Let's recap the entry-level role. You said policies and governance.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Let's recap.
Security operations analyst, threat intelligence analyst. If you think you have that technical aptitude and you really want to get into pen testing, pen tests also a great way to just fiddle around, the typical tool used like Metasploit, and there are tools that allow you to run pen tests just by their own native framework, versus if you actually mature into red teaming sorts of exercise, the limits are endless. Like, you basically have to come up with social engineering tactics that are outside of the cell phones and laptops of the world. How do you really drive that sense of urgency with someone to click a link and essentially give the attackers initial access into your organization or simply to your personal information?
Awesome. Well, Pat Yewande and Abhinav, I want to say thank you so much for being here so far. We have a few questions in the chat, and we have a lot of people saying congrats to Yewande on completing the PhD. It seems the audience is really, really proud to see that. So thank you for the love in the audience. For those who are like, okay, I've heard a lot about cybersecurity. Some of you have some questions for the audience, and for myself, I will take questions. But for those who are ready to learn about what's the roadmap? How do you actually land a cybersecurity position going from wherever you are in 3 to 6 months, going through our bootcamp? I'm going to walk you through that for about 10 minutes. And then if the panelists are still around, because they're working, doing different things, if they're still around, we can get them to answer some more questions. But if you guys do have to hop off, I want to say thank you so much for your time so far, Yewande and Abhinav. Now I'm going to go ahead to show those in the room the details on how to actually break into cybersecurity. And the entry point that we recommend is GRC, Cybersecurity, Governance, Risk, and Compliance. This is a fantastic place to start that is non-technical, where you're really focused on leading projects, designing policy to respond to attacks, helping companies figure out where they might be at risk, and helping them stay compliant with regulations. You can do this as a consultant, going into companies, working like where Abhinav and Yoni were working with Deloitte Consulting, helping companies with their policy, or you can do this as an internal team member working at a bank or a hospital as they're implementing AI. Recently I went to the hospital, and the doctor, she wasn't taking notes. She was actually just talking to me, and I'm used to seeing her with a pen scribbling like crazy as I'm talking, but she wasn't doing that. I noticed that everything I was saying was going into the computer, and it was diagnosing what I was saying in real time. Incredible. So she told me that she recently had this done at the hospital, nationwide. There was a huge security team and AI team who ensured that the hospital was able to implement this, but in a compliant and secure way, because as we know, health records are very sensitive. And so cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance, GRC, is even growing because of AI. Policies need to be set at scale because we're seeing lots of deep fakes. We're seeing lots of businesses implement AI in reporting, in analysis, analytics, in many different areas. So let's talk about how to get into cybersecurity GRC. Now, what does that even mean? GRC is broken into three parts: governance, risk, and compliance. Governance is coming up with the oversight and the policies that govern how we operate as a business. How do we do onboarding? How do we write policies for, bring your own device, right? Security policies. And then we have risk management. Whenever risks are, we have to forecast risks that may occur. Abhinav talked about working at one of Canada's largest retail companies, Canadian Tire. There's risk at payments, there's risk of theft. How do we identify risks that may happen and prevent those risks from happening or reduce the risk? And then there's compliance, which is the third piece, which is ensuring that we're following regulations. We're as large businesses, we're exposed to compliance regulations. If you're in healthcare, you have to be compliant with HIPAA. If you're in finance, you have to be compliant with PCI. And so there's all these different regulations. If you have a business in the US and you have one European customer, you're now being exposed to what's called GDPR regulation. And so companies are always having to be compliant with rules, data storage rules, data management rules, data transfer rules, right? So that they're not fined. We saw recently, for lack of compliance, Meta was fined 13 billion euros. 13 with a B. I don't mean to use them as an example. One of their employees is here, but it's something that did happen, right? There's no one that's immune these days. And so they'd rather pay Yewande multiple six figures, pay you in the chat multiple six figures, as opposed to paying $13 billion in a fine, right? We saw Equifax got fined for $14 billion for data loss, right? And so it's really important that you learn these skills if you want to get into security, because these are skills that will keep you relevant for the next 10, 20 years in your career and longer. This is a great foundation, GRC, to then get into more technical roles as you desire. And so there's different job titles you can land. You have GRC manager, security risk analyst, cyber risk analyst, compliance officer, privacy officer, auditor, GRC security analyst, etc. And so, interesting enough, I just wanted to show you that some of the top certifications in technology right now, these certs, you can see the average is paying $127,000 for some of these GRC certifications, right? C-Risk, we train you for the C-Risk, certified in risk systems and control. CISM, certified information security manager. These are all highest paying certs in tech, as well as the PMP. So this is a place to go and invest in and get certified right now. We're seeing a lot of new roles. These are fresh roles that just got released. Security compliance analyst, paying up to $122K. Responsibilities: conduct audits, develop compliance policy. And the best part, like Yewande said, is that you can even use AI to build a policy to prevent AI hacks. right? So you can leverage artificial intelligence day to day in these jobs. It makes the heavy lifting easier for you. As long as you have the right communication skills, technical skills, you can run meetings and you understand the frameworks. We're going to talk about the frameworks, NIST and other frameworks in security. You can do the job. And so the big opportunity right now is to help companies stay protected and to help companies implement and adopt AI. It's a good career because there's more jobs than people. I'm actually going to bring on Abhinav to the stage. This is a quick one. If you want to here as well, tell us more about this. We're seeing that a lot of people are saying they can't even find jobs. They're in the job market. They're searching. But on the flip side, we're hearing employers say that they can't find talent. There's actually data shows, this is what I've seen, you tell me if it's true, that there's even more security jobs than the people to fill them. So what's this dichotomy? What's really going on here? Why is it that companies are saying they have jobs that they can't fill? Is that true from your perspective? And if so, could you shed some light on that? Anyone would like to go share some thoughts on that piece?
Yes. So I think what we're challenged with when we bring in people into organizations, and I'm speaking of experience from back in the days in Deloitte and the respective clients, I think the idea is getting the right talent for the right role has been a bit of a challenge because folks are excited about cybersecurity, but are not necessarily putting in the effort and really leaning on their curiosities. Something that we look for as well, like it doesn't matter if your current role or job's paying for your certifications and career advancements, but if you go and get these certifications paid from your own pocket, it shows that enthusiasm to get into the industry, that you care about to the industry, you care about contributing and bringing in, learning the skill set and applying it and bringing it into the table. Again, City of Toronto and many organizations I've worked with, they always support with those training spends. But if you're in a non-cybersecurity, non-technical roles, you might have to put in that initial investment, be it with Skill Hat, be it with other certification professional associations, right? So that that gives you a bit of an edge. But I want to go back to a bit of how AI has actually changed that scenario. Like if you think about it, there is AI as users. We have to worry about governance, about making sure people aren't putting in sensitive info into those environments for the purpose of what they're doing as part of their jobs and responsibilities. AI for security operations or governance, there's of course the use of AI in that, but AI for attackers is what's really changing a bit of that conversation. And I think we need a fresh new set of eyes coming into the industry, thinking and looking at threats differently. Deepfakes, I'm not going to repeat myself to some of what you want to already shared, right? Like deepfakes, if you look at what happened last year in February, an accountant walked into a video call with their boss and 3 other people. This is one of the hot topics everyone shoots around in the industry now. The accountant walked in with their CFO and a couple other their colleagues, and the CFO instructed the accountant to process a $25 million. Turns out everyone in that call except for the accountant was AI. And this has actually blown up a bit of that, the use case is no longer a use case. It's being applied against organizations. I met a ex-boss recently and had a conversation around the research and development work that he does. Attackers are using AI a lot more than we are as defenders. Attackers are using AI to learn about so they'll come in, they'll sneak into your environment and steal your data, but they already know what they stole from you before you realize that you got attacked, and then you got to figure out incident response. Then you got to figure out forensics, and you have a 3-month timeline to figure out what actually got impacted when it comes to your data and your assets. But attackers, they use AI to process, hey, read through all of these SharePoint documents and tell me what should I steal or what is going to hurt the organization the most. And the funny story is, to my point, organizations might take time to understand what to protect. Where is it that's sensitive? And after they get breached, what is the impact like? And their attackers on the other end are just equipping themselves with some of these technologies to do a lot more targeted and lucrative sort of operations, right? The landscape's changing. landscape changes very, very quick, and you have to adopt. You have to come in with that mindset that it's not about necessarily the technicalities or what the game plan or what the frameworks are today, just to prepare and look forward and help detect the threats, prevent those threats. Doesn't matter in what format they present themselves.
Interesting. Yoani, what's your take on this? Why is it that there's so much demand for security professionals based on the data? There's more jobs than people, but then people are saying they can't find jobs.
Are we talking about entry-level roles or just like mid-level senior professionals?
Let's stick with the entry level.
I would say within cybersecurity, I think there is that expectation that there's some expertise or some knowledge. And so I would say that it's probably harder to find entry-level roles for cybersecurity on the more technical side. So within areas like GRC, like you're advertising, the program project management side, business support, incident response, identity access management, I think those are areas that have a low, I don't want to say low technical requirement, but it's not as, the technical requirements that are not as strict, or having that core cybersecurity expertise or intelligence. I don't think it's not as strong there. It's easier to enter with those types of roles and then work your way up, expand your knowledge into more of the technical roles. And I would say that's when the opportunity really, really opens up. So I'd say for entry level, that's probably more accurate. I can't say, I don't know the data off the top of my head.
Let's recap that so I can write that down. You want to just say that piece again. So you talked about the certain roles that have a lower barrier to entry on the entry level side, which are?
So yeah, I said the GRC, like you're advertising, the project program manager type of roles, and that's because that's easily transferable. Like you don't necessarily need to have a ton of experience to be able to have some of those softer skills. The identity access management, I think, are some of those roles as well. Those are some roles where you get a certification or two, understanding the frameworks, the policies, and then you can get into the role. I don't necessarily need to know how to code or how to like do pen testing, for instance. And then the last one I said was incident response, business continuity, incident response, and those also require some project management skill sets as well. So those are some entry level roles I think that have, like I said, low barriers to entry. Versus I think when we're looking at stats like this, they think of cybersecurity as a whole, but I think it's really more focused on like how we're actually catching these bad actors, and which requires some of this more technical skill sets, more like what I've captured. I think those would definitely require at least 3 to 5 years of experience in that specific niche.
Got you. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So there's a lot of high demand. If you look into some of the transferable skills you may have in project or program management, or learn those skills, learn about GRC, identity management, this is exactly what I'm talking about right now, where the audience and the panelists rather are seeing that there's opportunities there for you. We're seeing a lot of high earning roles. We're seeing, median roles paying as high as 102,000. Some of the top earners are making 300K or more. And there's job security. There's a 33% growth rate projected for security between now and 2030. And you can grow. This is why I like this opportunity. You can grow from being an analyst to an officer, and then a manager and a director. The instructors in the skill high programs are actually at the C level, chief risk officer and chief information security officer. This is from Amazon. We're seeing that at level 4 can pay through 312K with base and stock and bonuses. And so you can land a role in the next 3 to 4 months. We can help you land a role as a GRC program manager, security risk analyst, compliance manager, and all these roles on screen. Let's talk about how we do that. You would work with our expert team. Eddie and Danny are the instructors in the Skill Hat GRC Bootcamp. This is a bootcamp that you take that is taught by actual leaders who are driving security teams. Eddie has a team of over 40 people who report into him. He's going to be your instructor, same as Danny. And then once you're done with the training, we'll put you in an internship. I'm seeing a question in the chat, that says a lot of roles require experience. How do you bridge this gap? The answer is to go work for free or to go work in security where you currently have a job today. If you're unemployed today, start doing the work for free now before you get the full-time job that you get paid. And so we can place you in an internship, and while you're in the internship, you will be coached by our senior coach. So Joan, who you're seeing on screen at the bottom, used to be a director of Agile at TD. She's a director level professional who leads teams, but she moved into security, and she'll be your coach working with you to land a great job. Here's some testimonials of instructors saying how they're so exceptional in teaching. You can see some stuff on screen by Melody Ubong, who landed incredible roles working with our instructors. Here's some great success story that talks about Shade, who went through our program, who ended up going from 30K a year to 30K a month, bought a Mercedes and her first property. Talked about Ubong, who was trained by the same instructor you're seeing on screen before, Eddie. She went from being a lawyer to now being a data protection officer in only about 6 months. If she can do it, you can do it too. I showed you Curtis, who was a plumber. Now through SkillHat, he's a 6-figure project manager. So this is how to actually do it. Here are the 4 gaps you want to fill to land a great job in project management or security. 1, learn the skills and the tools. You have to talk to an expert to figure out the role you want. And then from there, you have to learn the technical and the non-technical skills for the role. Then you have to get hands-on experience. In tech, it's not just about what have you learned in class. The interviews are going to be asking you questions like, tell me a time you solved this problem. Tell me a time you had to monitor for this issue. Tell me a time you had to lead a project. You have to get the hands-on experience and go do the work before the job. The third is, how do you market yourself, your resume, your interview skills? How well do you command a room? And then your LinkedIn profile. These are things that will make you a magnet for opportunities to come. And then last but not least is the network. You want to network with professionals. You want to add folks like Yewande and Abinab on LinkedIn. They're busy, but if you have a compelling enough message, they might respond back to you. And you want to message like tons of people and have coffee chats, right? And then you want to post your own content. You want to actually share your learning and your stories and your wins in real time. These are 4 gaps you have to fill to land a great job. Now, you can do this all by yourself. But if you want to go to a one-stop shop, a place where you can learn the skills, get placed in an internship with a startup to actually get the experience, get help with your marketability, with your resume, your interview skills, so you can command a room of 100 people like I'm doing right now, and you want to network with top executives, just come to SkillHat, and we will help you position you for a top role in cybersecurity, in project management, in business analysis, in UX design, or web development. Now, today is focused on cybersecurity, but just so we're clear, at SkillHat, we train you for project management, business analysis, cybersecurity, UX design, and web development. So the first thing is the 12-week GRC training. This is a live training, live on Zoom twice a week, Wednesday, 7 p.m., which is this time next week, Wednesday. We're starting off the next cohort on May 31st. So you have till next week, Saturday. We only have 4 spots left. My team said, do a webinar. I said, why? We only have 4 spots left. They said, just do the webinar. People need to know about this. And so we have 100 plus people registered for today. We only have 4 spots left. If you're interested, book a call right now with our team to learn about how we can help you get into GRC. It's a 12-week program, 7 to 9 on Wednesdays, 12:30 to 3:30 on Saturday. Seeing what's the cost, I'll get to all that shortly. The second part is one of my favorite parts of our program. I am very pissed off with programs where they're great, you learn a lot, but the outcome is not there. And so we wanted to build a program to ensure that when you learn, you have a chance to actually drive real client outcomes. And so we will place you in an 8-week internship to work for a tech startup, usually in your country, in the US or in Canada, remote, where you actually get to lead projects for them so that you have the experience that employers are looking for. This part is optional, but it's highly recommended that you do. Just to be clear, you can, if you've already been trained, you can go into the internship directly. You don't have to take the course. If you have not been trained, you can go into the course and skip the internship. It's very flexible. You can take one or both or each. Then after you've gone through your internship or the course, you will be placed with a one-on-one coach who will help you with your resume and your interview skills to figure out what's the right role for you. Let's rebrand your LinkedIn and your resume together. And then you will have access to our AI tool. We talked about AI a lot today. We have AI at SkillHat that will actually apply for jobs for you. I don't know about you guys. I've been one day in the room. I hate applying for jobs personally. I like to just show up to job interviews. And so when I found out that we can build AI that can just take your resume and apply for the job you want for you, and you just wake up and see interview requests in your email, I'm like, let's do it. Let's partner. Let's get everybody into that. And so we've done that. We've partnered with Apply All to give everyone who's a Skill Hat member access to their AI tool for free once you take our program, which will apply for jobs for you. Then we have networking events that we do, like this one, and also in-person events to build your network. And that solves for all the 4 gaps: the skills gap through the course, the network, the hands-on experience gap through the managed internship. Remember, when you're interning, you're not just going to be placed and dumped with a company to figure it out. You will have a one-on-one coach through that process where you're getting coached every week to deliver in the company. Third, you will have the coach you work with you post-internship to land a full-time job, or you might get retained in an internship, and then you will have a chance to connect and network. After which, we don't leave you there hanging still. When you land your 6-figure job, we'll move into a secret program called 7-Figure Boardroom, which is a program where people who have 6-figure jobs in program management and security and business analysis meet every month to connect and talk about what they're doing at their work, and then they drive to success and leadership together. That's the Skill Hat program. It's for those who are new to security or those who already work in tech and want to get into GRC. Now, once again, through Skill Hat, you can land a role in security, project management, business analysis, UX design, or web development. Okay. So this is not the get rich quick thing. Okay. You will have to put in tons of work and hours of reading. This is not for those who want us to do the work for them. You have to do the work, but we'll support you. So if you're interested in this, I'll share the pricing real quick. Book a call. You can enroll yourself or book a call. If you're on Instagram, just comment the word book to get a link to book a call with me and my team to learn about the right fit for you, whether it's PM, security, or BA. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, I'm going to put the link in the chat to book a call with me. Now, what's the price of the program? I'm going to share that with you. So remember where you are now. You want to get into a 6-figure role in security. We have the course, the bootcamp, the managed internship, and the career coaching. Now, you can do this yourself. You can go on Udemy and learn for free. Decent quality, but we've seen that without accountability, no one gets anything done. The average completion rate of these self-paced courses is 10%. So that's the first option. Second, you can go to university, which is a fantastic option. Typically, you're going to get great quality, but there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to hear from the typical university structure and how to actually land the job. You need to work with people who are in the position who will coach you one-on-one and tell you the true secrets. And it's also long and pricey. However, with Skill Hat, we have exceptional quality and we have incredible success with our alumni because we actually give you the exact things you need for the job, put you in an internship, have you with a one-on-one coach, and help you through AI to land that position. Our programs are just under $5K. So for those who are asking, our GRC training, the live training is $3,500. The internship is another $3,500, and the one-on-one career coaching is $1,300, which is a total of $8,300. But here's the best part. If you take everything, if you bundle everything, you get a massive discount, and it's just around $5,700. Now, we have a lot of payment plans. Okay, we have all the payment plans and payment options. So the $5,700, you could pay one time, and there's lots of incentives that we're giving away right now. So the numbers you're seeing on screen, if you talk to the learning advisory team and explain your situation, they will help you create a plan that is just right for you. And so before I send the link to book a call and tell the panelists to thank you, I want to say, if you feel like this is for you and you want to invite a friend, you can refer a friend. You get $200 whenever they join Skill Hat, or you get that discounted in your fees. Okay. And so my question to the audience before I bring back panelists is, first question: how would you feel if the next 2 years of your life are just like the last 2 years? You tell me how you would feel. If the next 2 years of your career are like the last 2 years, how would you feel? That's the first question. You put it in the chat. Second question is, if you feel like I don't want the next 2 years to be like the last 2 years, the question then becomes, if you continue to take the same steps you've been taking the last 3 months, will things stay the same or change for the better or change for the worse? Now, if you feel like things need to change and you think that going through the 4-gap method of learning the skills, getting certified, doing the work, and networking will land you your position, book a call, talk to me. All you have to do is go to skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. I'll put the link in the chat to book a call with me and my team. And we will be able to provide you with details of our security programs and get you enrolled. So best case, when you book that call, 1 second, you book that call, you'll get some free advice from the career roadmap. Worst case, that's the worst case. Best case, you find the program for you to change your life. And so with that said, I'm going to bring back on the panelists to say a quick thank you, but also there's some questions in the chat. Let's see what questions. So if you guys have any questions for the panelists, you can share. One of the questions says, we talked about this, but I want to know if there's any comments here from the group. The question says, even entry-level roles require at least 1 to 2 years of experience. How do you bridge this gap? What are your thoughts on this question? And who would like to answer this one?
I'll go first, I guess. I think you've put it fairly well. Like, I think GRC is one of those entry-level roles. If you already have a job in an organization that does cybersecurity, start there. Try to network with the leaders that are in that domain. If you're in Toronto, they have Toronto-based events. Wherever you are, I'm sure the cybersecurity industry and the people, professionals in that industry are coming together in different networking events. Start showing up. Just show up. Just be there, listen to them, get into the conversation. If you keep up with the news and you can speak and resonate with them, I think you already have an avenue to get into entry-level roles with them, especially if you're able to market yourself well and translate your curiosity into the fact that you really want to apply some of that aptitude. Some of the certifications we talked about, the CompTIA, I would also say, even if it doesn't have to be cybersecurity, if you're in the technology side of things, CCNA, CCNP, some good entry-level certifications in the technology world as well. If you have already done that, try to market those certifications and how you want to apply it in the cybersecurity world. Very, very transferable skills. Otherwise, start curating a bit of that CompTIA certifications. There are universities offering online certifications that you pay money for. SkillHat is another avenue for you to sort of get that theoretical knowledge, that knowledge foundation or base that will then allow you to go out and interact with industry professionals effectively.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Abhinav. All right. Now, I see there's some questions in the chat. One is it 100 people per cohort? How do students get engagement and attention of the tutor? So no, it's not 100 per cohort. I'm not sure where you heard that. We typically run cohorts of between 25 and 40 people. So it's typically a class that's large enough that you can engage in network, but small enough to get individual attention. And then it's typically about 5 hours of live class a week. I see a question that says 5K for a bootcamp is laughable. I'm not sure what you mean. This is too high or too low. So maybe you could break it down. Typically, we've seen people invest around 5K in our programs, and pretty much our average alumni increases their income by 45K. So typically, people who come in are making like 80K or 70, end up with jobs paying 120, 110, and then that's like $500,000 extra over another 5 years, or another 10 years, or $250,000 every other 5 years, the 5K investment. So I'm not sure if it was too high or too low in your perspective. A lot of other boot camps typically will charge you about 10 for a cybersecurity boot camp. So just FYI there. All right, if you have any other questions for the panelists, do let us know. But my next question to you, Andy, before I let you go, is you had an economics background. You were actually working. You actually went to school for economics. What made you want to consider switching into the technology space?
Oh, I love that question. I would start by saying I got into economics because I didn't fully understand what it meant to get a degree in economics, if I could start that way. And I went to school in Nigeria, and I would say that we weren't really very educated on like what you're actually going to like the types of like majors and the career paths. And so in high school, I enjoyed economics. I enjoyed learning about the economy. I enjoyed learning about business. And so I thought economics would be a great degree. And so I went and got my degree in it. And I realized the types of the skill set I would be gaining as an economist wasn't necessarily aligned with what I wanted to do. And then at that point in time when I went to school, like technology, like IT was a thing, but there wasn't as much learning or exposure to it as there is now. I would say I like the information technology space for many reasons. There's a lot to do, and I find that that kind of work, like the critical thinking that's required, depending on the space that you work in IT, the constant innovation, that drives me. I find that to be very interesting, and I didn't really get that from economics. And this is after getting a master's degree in economics and realizing that the types of work, the types of jobs I would go on to do would be either very research focused or research heavy, or policy focused. And I felt boxed in, and I wanted to go learn about the latest technology, for instance, and learn about the different trends, and see what else I could do within that space. So really, it was because I wanted to try something new, and I felt like that was more like the IT space is just more aligned with like my personality and my personal interests.
So do
And
you feel like the juice is worth the squeeze? Do you feel like it was worth it? Are you happier in tech than in economics right now?
definitely, if I could go back again and do it all over again, I would definitely do something in tech.
If so, okay, so what is it that makes you love your day to day? Why do you like it so much? Like, what is it? Just walk us through why you are happy with your day to day now in security program management.
I'm not bored. I think if I could summarize it, I like what I do. It's very interesting. It makes me think. And that's because I like critical thinking. I'm curious. There's always a problem for me to solve. I work with very, very smart engineers that I can learn from. And that helps me sharpen my own technical skills as well. So I think if I could summarize it, it's really because I'm not bored. There's a lot for me to do. And if I wanted to grow beyond the space that I'm in right now, there's a myriad of things I could be doing that would still keep me engaged. And that's what keeps me going day to day. As long as I'm not bored, I'm fine. And I think this work that I do and the space that I operate in is active and interesting enough to keep me going.
I love that. Thank you. I see a few questions that I'm just going to answer real quick. So, what percent of alumni land 100K jobs after the course within 3 months? A lot. So, it all depends. People ask this question to get a sense of your chances, but end of the day, the data will only work if you work it. So, if I told you it was 10%, 20%, 50%, 80%, it doesn't matter necessarily. What matters is if somebody is doing it, you can do it. And you have to ask yourself, what are the principles that they applied that made the top most successful people to be successful? Okay, so on average, everyone who applies our principles over time will land a job that pays multiple six figures. Some are job stacking, doing multiple positions at the same time. We can talk about that. So a good majority of our alumni we've seen have landed incredible positions. Our alumni income that we've tracked is over 20 million since we've been doing this for about 4 years combined. I want to have Abhinav answer this one. The question says, is it possible for someone older? I'm 50 plus. I feel that I am too old to transition to something new, but I'm so fed up with my job, and the only skill I have is administrative. Abhinav, what's your response to this question from Lisa?
I love this question. I'll tell you the story, Lisa. Recently, an individual just retired, and she worked in tech for some time, but pivoted in her later ages into cybersecurity. And she recently retired in cybersecurity, but she picked up on cybersecurity much later in her career. There are folks who are working within the city who have joined in administrative roles, and just because they were able to express their interest and technical aptitudes with the leaders within the cybersecurity space, they've given the opportunity to be program coordinators, and now they're leading some of the most critical projects in cybersecurity. It's never too late to start. do it now.
Thank you. Thank you. Iwan, do you have any thoughts on this one in terms of, she's asking is it too late? How would you respond to this one?
It's not too late. You can always redefine yourself, and I think it's how you tell your story. Ultimately, it's all about how you tell your story. If you have an administrative skill, that's not a barrier. You start from there and think about the roles or find roles that would leverage the skill set that you have, and then you can start to build from there. I like to believe that where there's a will, there's a way, and so if you're willing to put in the effort, you would find opportunities. You just have to put in the work, talk to people, and do not be discouraged by your age. You can redefine your life. You can change your story. It's all about how you define yourself.
Awesome. Olivia, I appreciate your question. So I apologize if it wasn't clear. Let me make it clear. She said, and both you and the panelists here indicate that the GRC course can help you get entry-level jobs, but those aren't the ones paying 100K plus. Where's this connect? So let me break that down. There's lots of different roles in cybersecurity if you take training in GRC, right? Part of where you land depends on where you come from, right? So your actual background matters, right? So if you're coming in from a background, for example, in project management, which is where Yewande was, and you take that project management skill set and you apply and you learn cybersecurity skills, then it becomes super easy to get a cybersecurity six-figure job because you have the experience and you can play at a different level, right? If you're coming in straight out of school with no experience at all and you learn the same course, you can still leverage that course into maybe an entry-level role that may not have as much scope of demand or a smaller company. So the first variable that determines where you land is, first of all, your existing experience. That is the difference maker. Second of all is how you communicate value and how you quickly build capacity while you're in training. Some folks could go through a 4-month program, and depending on how much you put into it in that time, as far as learning, and as far as what you do in your internship, for example, or how you apply that skill set where you work, you have a different story from somebody else. And so the skills and the course can be the same, but the individual who leverages it in the higher and deeper capacity and how you apply where you apply, as far as where you apply for work, you could be doing the exact same job as a security PM at Meta or a smaller company and get paid twice as much just because of a different company. Okay, so those are different variables that may affect how much you get paid. So I hope, Olivia, that answers your question to a degree about why GRC can be an entry point into security, but that entry point is a wider range between somewhere around 65, 70, 80K, and even 120K, depending on, again, what your background is, how much depth you put into the role, into the training, and the impact you're making in your internship, and how you tell the story and where you work. 5 different variables that change from the income, or rather from the input to the outcome. Hope that was clear. All right. So with that being said, as a reminder, if you're in the room today, I would highly recommend you talk to a SkillHat Learning advisor to book a free call with myself and our team to learn about security program. All you have to do is go to skillhat.ca/cybersecurity to learn about the program. I always recommend booking a call just because it gives you so much clarity on what is best for you. We're going to do an assessment on that free call for about 10 minutes to figure out your background, build your personalized roadmap to success, figure out what is the best role for you, because we do project management, security, BA, design, and web development. And then we can build you that roadmap to success and help you enroll, or you walk away with a free roadmap to success. With that being said, again, the next step is to book a call. We have to end the webinar at this point. I want to say thank you to everybody who came. I'm sorry I couldn't answer every single question. Yewande and Abinab, I'll let ladies go first. Actually, we'll let ladies end it. Abinab, what is your parting words for everyone who wants to be in a situation like you are today? What's your advice to the group?
Cybersecurity is about working with people. If besides the technical skills, that certainly equips you to be better in this industry. If you garner that interest and curiosity to learn the technical skills and harness your interpersonal people skill, you will absolutely excel. One good advice I've recently heard was that when you move up in a leadership role, When you're in a C-level or an executive role, there's a guy or a gal doing marketing, a guy or a gal doing cybersecurity, guy or a gal doing business development. And they're the decision makers. Up until then, you're really supporting those folks. So the idea is to learn through those experiences and support the leaders. But once you become a leader, it's all about, driving the decisions and working with people to make a pragmatic decision that really helps your business objective, whatever that business, organization, or industry you're working with. It could be revenue driven, profit driven, or service delivery driven, if you think about public administration. Great time to be in this industry. I certainly attest to the fact that to some extent it is recession. If you go into cybersecurity or even the fraud space, financial crime and fraud is also a trending industry. Certainly some of the good places to be when it comes to job security as well.
Awesome. Before I give you Andy the stage, I remember I did talk about if you stay till the end, there's a bonus. The answer is the bonus. I forgot about that. This is a brand new thing we just added for everybody. And so if you connect with us and take the Skill Hat program, the bonus we just added, this was an extra thing before, but not everyone who enrolls in Skill Hat gets this. You get access to a free AI tool. This tool costs over $200+ US, and you get it for free. This tool will actually apply into jobs for you and ensure that so there's an algorithm it uses. It essentially takes your resume and looks at the different roles and figures out the best role for you. And so I recommend that you book a call to get access to our Apply All AI tool, right? And if you want to just keep learning, I will recommend you join our community. So go to skillhat.ca/community to enroll in our free community if you want to keep learning and you're not ready. But I really recommend you book a call with our team. That's the ideal next step to learn about the best opportunities for you. All right, so I'm gonna pass to Yewande and ask you, what are your parting words for the audience in the room?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here, and I've learned a lot from you as well, Abhinav. So I'm glad to be speaking alongside you. I would say there are a lot of opportunities within cybersecurity. So this is what you want to do. Take your time to do your homework, do your due diligence, continue to learn, be an active learner, always seek out learning opportunities. If you want to do certifications, if you want to do boot camps, but stay learning. Actively network as well, to talk to people who are in the spaces, in the areas of cybersecurity that you're interested in, and just continue to be on the lookout for opportunities. It is a growing field, and so there will always be roles. It just means that you may have to start out from a role that may be different from your end goal. If you ultimately want to end up in cloud security, for instance, you may have to start with GRC, and there's nothing wrong with that. But getting first focus on learning, and ultimately helps you just be a well-rounded cybersecurity professional. But no role is too small. Start from somewhere, work your way up, actively network with people, and I'd say the sky is your beginning.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. For those who type ready in the chat, just hit me up, DM me to talk about next steps, or book a call at skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. Wish you all the best in your journeys in your career. Thank you again to the panelists. For the group who are listening, thank you all for being here and sharing your incredible comments. If you got value from the panelists, I want you to just type a V in the chat. Just let them know that you got value for them, for volunteering their time to share what they do. Just type a V in the chat. Let me know if you got value. Okay, there's a bit of a lag, so y'all might hear this 30 seconds later. Shout out to Melina. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to everybody in the chat for all the engagement. We have multiple webinars coming up every week. Keep it out in your inbox. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Abhinav and Yewande. It's been an incredible pleasure having you today. Thank you, guys. God bless. Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay. Thank you so much, bro.